Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince YT. The chapter begins. The air was heavy with tension, the battlefield still trembling with the aftershocks of chaos. Chairman Wu Jinshul's voice echoed in his own thoughts. He had been wondering, why had he regained the memories of his past life? Perhaps it wasn't a coincidence at all. Perhaps Hunter Sung Jinwoo had foreseen this very moment. Jinwoo must have known he would one day leave this position behind, stepping away from the world he had carried on his shoulders. With the looming cataclysm threatening humanity, someone had to be prepared to take his place. Someone who could stand against the war that was coming. And at the heart of it all stood Suho, facing it not as the son of the Shadow Monarch, but as a hunter who bore the weight of battle alone. Jinshul's eyes locked on him. "Hunter Sung Suho," he asked aloud, his tone grave. "Can you prove your own innocence?" The flames cast deep shadows across the ground. Even if Wu Jinshul lost every ounce of trust he had earned over the years, he knew one thing with certainty. He had to stand at Suho's side. Arresting him after everything he had done would not only be unjust, it would be wrong. Hunter Sung Suho arrived faster than anyone, Jinshul declared, his voice firm. He rescued civilians before any of us could move. To arrest him now would be too harsh a sentence. Gasps rippled among the hunters. Hunter Choi's eyes narrowed. "I've known Association Chairman Wu for a long time," his thoughts raced. "But it's my first time seeing him make such a wrong decision." Lim Taegyu's eyes narrowed, sharp with suspicion. Can he not see, he thought. I'm ready to fight at a moment's notice. Or does he have a reason to defend Sung Suho, even at the risk of antagonizing the Reaper Guild itself? The crackle of energy filled the air. Then came Suho's voice, steady and resolute. "There's no need to fight, everyone." The shadows around him surged, pooling at his feet as a familiar, ominous aura spread outward. His figure rose like a silhouette against the chaos, his presence impossible to ignore. "I'll prove my innocence," Suho said, his words ringing with a deadly promise. His eyes glowed with violet light, shadows crawling around his form like living flames. "Though," he added, the power pulsing stronger with every breath, "the method might be a bit violent." The battlefront roared with clashing power. From the fiery haze, the chairman shouted desperately, his voice strained with urgency. "Wait, Hunter Sung Suho." But across the battlefield, Lim Taegyu's expression twisted, eyes blazing with vengeance. His blade gleamed under the inferno's glow as his voice cut through the chaos. "Did you think I'd let you get away again?" In an instant, the air split with blinding force. Lim Taegyu surged forward, unleashing a devastating strike that ripped through the ground, light streaking like a comet. Suho braced himself, the storm of energy crashing against him. His teeth clenched, eyes fierce, yet the sheer weight of the attack hurled him back. "Suho!" Baek Yunho roared, panic seizing his features as his comrade was flung across the battlefield. The dust hadn't even settled before the shadow fell over Suho again. His foot slammed down, sending shockwaves into the earth, eyes burning with ruthless intent. Suho's pupils narrowed, his breathing heavy. The enemy towered above him, wreathed in that ominous aura. Raising his weapon, Lim Taegyu's form seemed almost monstrous under the firelight. His bow, jagged with crackling energy, hovered with merciless precision. The shadow key connected to the Lim Taegyu side. Then, visions pierced Lim Taegyu's mind. Images of Sung Jinwoo, the Shadow Monarch, flickered through him like echoes carved into his soul. Memories long buried, fragments of battles, allies, and oaths, flared to life. His grip faltered as realization dawned, yet his rage did not wane. Hunters gasped as his aura convulsed violently, shadow and flame entwining around him. "Hunter Lim Taegyu," someone cried. Across the chaos, Suho pressed a hand to his shoulder, breath ragged. His body trembled as a searing sensation tore through him. His right eye ignited with an otherworldly glow, the mark of shadow bursting awake. From the sidelines, Baru's eyes widened with shock. "Young monarch," the words rang out, heavy with recognition. "Could it be," Baru muttered in disbelief, "that you're trying to make us all regain our memories?" The battlefield froze. The storm of shadows had only just begun to stir. The battlefield roared with fire and fury as Suho steadied his resolve, sweat streaking down his face, but his eyes unwavering. He thought to himself, if a hunter who lived through the same era as his father could regain the memories of the past world, then surely they would understand his words, his fight, his truth. That was the only way forward. But for that to happen, he had to act, now. In a flash of motion, Baek Yoon-ho lunged forward, fists shattering the ground as he clashed with relentless power. The air trembled from the collision, shockwaves rippling out across the battlefield. Then, Choi Jong-in's cold, calculating gaze pierced through the chaos. His eyes glowed with a dangerous light as Suho charged straight at him, his body engulfed in surging violet and black aura. Jong-in narrowed his eyes, muttering under his breath, already measuring the threat. Flames erupted violently around them as Suho closed the distance. The firestorm engulfed the battlefield, its heat searing the very air. Baek Yoon-ho shouted in alarm, his voice echoing, "Suho!" Jong-in's eyes sharpened, his tone darkened, flames curling around his body like a mantle of judgment. Just as Hunter Lim Taegyu warned, he's certainly dangerous. A flicker of surprise flashing as Suho barreled through the storm with reckless determination. To think he'd come straight at me. All of a sudden, Jong-in muttered. But Suho's eyes burned brighter, desperation and conviction merging into one. His thoughts thundered, "Please reach." His aura burst outward, twisting violently as he pushed everything into his strike. But then Hunter Dujin and Hunter Baek Miho attacked Suho with deadly force. The battlefield burned with tension, embers glowing across the faces of the hunters. One by one, their gazes hardened, each of them feeling something awaken deep inside. Suho stood amidst it all, his lips cut and blood trailing, but his will unshaken. His body trembled under the weight of what he was attempting, but his eyes never wavered. Choi Jong-in's expression shifted from confusion to shock, his breath catching in his throat as the haze of forgotten lifetimes parted. Flames reflected in his eyes, but it was not just fire he saw. It was the shadow of a past world resurfacing. Hunter Choi's eyes sharpened, a faint glimmer of recognition stirring. He clenched his fists as if remembering a power long buried. Amid the burning battlefield, anxious voices rang out. "Hunter Choi Jong-in." Miho called desperately, eyes fixed on the fiery chaos. Suho, battered and weary, dropped to one knee. His breath was ragged, his body pushed to its limits. He clenched his fist as flames flickered in his reflection, whispering to himself with quiet resolve, "I've done all I can. Now, all that's left for me is to wait." But the chaos didn't relent. From across the scorched ground, Miho's furious shout cut through the air. "You bastard!" Rage twisted into desperation as Hunter Lim's memories began to stir violently. He staggered, clutching his head, eyes glowing with recognition and pain. The clash of worlds and past lives echoed in his trembling voice as the truth began to bleed into him. "What are these memories?" he muttered, his gaze locked on Suho, as if the young monarch's very presence had triggered a flood of revelations long buried in time. The battlefield, already drowning in fire and tension, seemed to tremble under the weight of resurfacing truths. "Hunter Lim Taegyu," a voice called out, uncertain, but filled with realization. Lim's hand twitched toward his bow as his mind reeled. "A skill? No, this isn't a skill," he muttered under his breath, voice trembling. "It feels like I've remembered something I should have never forgotten." Hunter Choi's tone hardened, the weight of truth sinking in. "I had it with me this entire time." He clenched his teeth, eyes burning with clarity, the heat of his rediscovered power coursing through him. "How ridiculous," he spat, almost in disbelief of himself. And then, with flames curling against the sky and the battlefield rumbling beneath their feet, the unthinkable happened. Memories cascaded like wildfire, and even Hunter Choi Jong-in stood stunned, realization flashing across his face. The war of the past was no longer forgotten. It had returned, carried in their blood. Choi Jong-in's sharp voice cut through the roaring flames, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Can you tell me yourself what you did to us?" Hunter sung Suho. Suho slowly straightened, his body still trembling but his gaze unwavering. The firelight flickered across his face as he answered with a calm, almost relieved tone. "What a relief. Looks like we can finally talk." His voice carried across the battlefield, steady and resolute. Those are your memories from before the world went through a reset. The word struck the hunters like a thunderclap. A reset, Choi Jong-in muttered, his brows furrowing as disbelief spread among those gathered. Suho nodded firmly, his expression shadowed, yet unwavering. This world has gone through a reset once. That's why it was able to maintain its peace until the cataclysm happened. Hunter Choi's gaze hardened, piecing the puzzle together. The world reset. Don't tell me. Is it related to Hunter Sung Jinwoo? For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then Suho's lips curled faintly, his eyes meeting Jong-in's with quiet admiration. To think you'd infer it was related to my father the moment you regained your memories. You really are amazing, Hunter Choi Jong-in. Shock rippled through those nearby as Jong-in's whisper escaped, almost involuntary. Father. Suho's voice carried once more, steady and solemn. I don't know anything about my father as a hunter. I just know he's always shouldered everything by himself. Even now, he's holding back the forces of outer space's invasion by himself. I've been fighting against the invader from outer space to help my father. The hunters shifted uneasily, the impossible truths settling in their hearts. Their minds screamed doubt, but the memories stirring within made denial harder by the second. One voice cut through the murmurs, deep and unwavering. All of Hunter Sung Suho's words are true. The gathered hunters turned as Wu Jinchul stepped forward, armored and resolute. His expression bore the weight of conviction as he admitted, I, too, am a hunter who has memories of the past life. The reason I was able to quickly make the Hunters Association when the cataclysm occurred was all thanks to the memories I had of living as a hunter. The battlefield, once filled with hostility, was now drowned in a heavy silence as truth clawed its way into every soul. The battlefield quieted for a moment, flames flickering in the distance as all eyes turned to Suho. His voice cut through the tension, steady and resolute. He urged them all to listen first, to hear the truth he carried. Time seemed to stretch as the hunters, those who had regained fragments of their past lives, gathered closer. Conversations sparked, fragments of knowledge and questions interwoven with disbelief. Suho spoke of the invasion of the outer gods, the Iterum, and of the apostle who now walked the earth under their command. He revealed the dark truth of star powder, a poison sown by the apostle to spread chaos and destruction. The weight of his words pressed upon the hunters. Faces hardened with realization. Each incident, every unnatural tragedy they had endured, traced back to the hand of the Iterum. The truth settled heavily, and when the death of Lee Min-sung was mentioned, a wave of silence fell over them. Eyes narrowed, breaths caught, another piece of the puzzle locking into place. But amid the grave revelations came another question. Why had Suho not spoken of this sooner? Why had he carried the burden in silence? Suho answered with the honesty of one who had been tempered by fire. He feared that his existence would become his father's weakness, that the enemy would use him as a weapon against Jinwoo. So, he chose silence, waiting until he grew strong enough to stand on his own. His admission rippled through the crowd, and for a moment, disbelief gave way to a new understanding. Someone spoke, reminding them that Suho, too, was a hunter who could level up, just like his father before him. Then came another revelation, cutting deeper than the rest. A name spoken aloud, Cha Haein. One of the hunters revealed her ties to Suho. Suho's eyes widened, shock and wonder flashing across his face. You mean my mom? He asked, his voice trembling as if the weight of that truth threatened to shatter him. The hunters watched in silence. The firelight danced on their armor and faces as the enormity of what was unfolding settled into their hearts. Suho stood in the middle of it all, his resolve unshaken, his voice unbroken, casting aside doubt and fear to reveal his truth. And in that moment, within the silence that followed, his presence blazed like a beacon. His courage, his decisiveness, his defiance. Sung Suho was no longer just a hunter caught in the tide of chaos. He was a force destined to shape the coming war. A heavy silence weighed over the battlefield as thoughts clashed behind guarded eyes. The apostle's voice echoed within. I can't let him do as he pleases. The next fragment must quickly arrive. From the sidelines, Hunter Beck and Hunter Miho stepped forward, their presence cutting through the tension. Flames danced against their silhouettes as one of them spoke, his tone carrying both relief and uncertainty. It's great that the misunderstanding around Suho got cleared, but I don't know what's exactly going on right now. The group stood gathered in the glow of firelight, their gazes fixed on Suho. The confusion in their hearts was evident, the unanswered questions pressing down like a storm. I guess it could be confusing if you don't know the context. The golden eyes narrowed, a faint, dangerous smirk curling. Then, why don't I check the memories of the past world of the other people here as well? The apostle's face stiffened, the air tense as Suho met that piercing gaze with unflinching calm. All of them stood in the faint glow of evening light. Suho's voice echoes. He began, but another voice cut through the moment. Chairman, Hunter Choi urged, steady and deliberate. I don't think that's a conversation meant for this place. But doubt was already festering. Sung Suho has a history of fleeing already. Even if he fled to save people, he would have to take responsibility for that himself. One by one, the accusations sharpened like blades. He deceived the association with false registration. He joined raid parties linked to every incident involving Star Powder. And above all, didn't he murder Lee Min-sung? Hunter Lim's words struck like chains, heavy and damning. With everything Hunter Choi Jong-in said, Suho's sentence should already be decided. We have to arrest him first. Agreement rippled through the chairman. That is the right decision. By all accounts, it would make sense to arrest him. His stood firm, eyes steady with conviction. But wouldn't Suho have had a reason for all his actions? The question hung in the scorched air, fragile but defiant, daring to pierce through judgment and doubt. The tension in the air thickened as all eyes locked onto the one who held the key, Sung Suho. His voice rang out with quiet authority, proposing a bold course of action, to dive into the memories of the past world. Around him, the gathered hunters watched with unease, their positions encircling Suho like stars drawn into orbit. His gaze hardened as he raised the key, the faint gleam of it catching the light. He didn't just speak of uncovering his own truth. He spoke of unearthing the hidden pasts of every soul standing there. Whispers of doubt rippled through the group. My memories of the past world? Hunter Beck muttered in disbelief. The very thought felt unnatural, something pulled from the depths of impossible magic. Miho's voice broke the silence, trembling with concern. Even if the world became strange after the cataclysm, something magical like that doesn't make sense. Father, won't this be dangerous? The weight of hesitation pressed on them, yet before it could fracture their resolve, his powerful voice cut through the uncertainty. I trust Suho. The declaration shattered doubt like glass, solidifying the path forward. The world quivered as the key stirred with power. Black and violet energy coiled outward, forming a dome of shifting shadows that enveloped them all. Suho's expression stayed firm, his grip unwavering, while others struggled to brace against the tide of energy. I told you not to act first and think later. Miho cried out in frustration, yet it was too late. The process had begun. One by one, hunters felt something foreign pressing against their minds. Hunter Beck clutched his temple, his body trembling as fragments of forgotten lives cascaded into his consciousness. It's so strange, he whispered, voice breaking as visions clawed their way back into existence. It's so strange. His face twisted between pain and awe as the past began stitching itself into the present. From Suho's vantage, the echoes of countless lives seeped into the air around them. Forgotten warmth, battles long fought, sacrifices made, all of it poured back with overwhelming force. To think, one hunter murmured through clenched teeth, that the memories I had forgotten would feel this warm. But even amidst the quiet reverence, unease slithered into the gathering. The apostle's sharp gaze narrowed. Quite troublesome, he muttered under his breath, masking suspicion beneath calm words. This world had been reset once before. The apostle, cloaked in quiet calculation, observed from the edges. That key wouldn't react to me, he thought, his golden eyes flickering with dangerous clarity. I am not a being of this world. Should that be revealed, I'd fall under suspicion. His lips curled slightly, concealing his unease. The stage was set. The veil of forgotten history had been torn open, and now every secret, every truth buried by the reset, was beginning to claw its way into the light. A heavy silence settled as thoughts churned within him. What should I do? His mind whispered. Should I begin a war with the believers I've gathered? But even as the idea surfaced, it crumbled. He knew the truth. Even with thousands of followers, his current strength could only replicate the chaos of the prison escape, not more. His decision would have to be sharper, more deliberate. Beside him, doubt flickered in Miho's eyes. She clenched her fists. "Nothing's coming up for me," she admitted, frustration cutting her voice. "Huh." Suho's gaze snapped toward her. His confusion deepened. "That's strange. You should have been recalling the memories of the past world." Slowly, he summoned a familiar presence. Baru. The insectoid shadow emerged, his aura sharp and unwavering. His voice echoes. Could there be others like her? Others unable to recover their past memories? "What's with this weak-looking bug?" Miho scoffed. Baru's temper flared, fire in his eyes as he snapped. "Who are you calling weak? I'll tear you apart." "Enough." Suho's voice cut through, steady and calm. "Just continue explaining, Baru." Baru's tone shifted, commanding the air with grim weight. "The past world is made of events 20 years ago. Even in this timeline, when mana still existed." Images surged into their minds. The era before the cataclysm, hunters rising, dungeons spawning. Baru's mandibles clicked as he continued. Peace had smothered mana's presence 2 decades ago. It is natural, then, that some factors differ now. Baru's head inclined. Indeed, it is likely this woman was not born in that past world. Her eyes widened. "Me?" The words struck harder than steel. She trembled, staring at her own hands. "I wasn't born." The revelation spread further. Park Dujin, standing nearby, frowned. "I don't remember anything either. Could it be I didn't exist in the past world either?" Tension thickened. Eyes turned to him, waiting for his conclusion. Hunter Beck faced his daughter, her desperate voice echoing. "Father, did I really not exist in the past world?" His throat tightened, and hesitation cracked his voice. About that, under the crimson-stained sky, the battlefield grew quiet, though the air still carried the weight of devastation. A voice broke through the silence, calm yet firm. "Don't you think it's amazing?" The figures turned, and there stood Chairman Wu Jinchul, his presence heavy with authority. Suho recognized him instantly, his eyes widening. "Chairman Wu Jinchul," he muttered. The chairman gazed at the horizon as if he could still see the echoes of Jin Wu's choice. "This was the peace that Hunter Sung Jin Wu chose," he said solemnly. "Countless people who were never even born in the previous world are now living and enjoying their lives." The reminder struck Suho deeply, and he turned, eyes locking on the familiar broad back of his father. His voice trembled, filled with reverence. "Father." Suho stood there, unmoving, his silhouette dark against the fading light, as if carrying the weight of eternity. Suho's thoughts sharpened. "Everyone," he said, his tone cutting through the stillness. "If the outer gods were to invade us in our current state, this world would be destroyed." A hush fell over them. Faces hardened, hearts tightened with the truth they already knew but dared not speak aloud. Suho pressed his hand to his chest, determination burning in his eyes as he looked at each of them. His voice carried the weight of both desperation and hope. "Could you lend me your powers?" The plea lingered in the air like a spark, ready to ignite the resolve of those who listened. The city buzzed with quiet whispers as the aftermath of chaos settled. News broadcasts filled the streets, voices crisp and confident. The Jisan prison villain escape incident that had caused national uproar is nearing its end, one reporter declared. Only 1% of fugitives remained unidentified. The swift resolution, she explained, was thanks to the rapid response of the Hunters Association. Onlookers recounted their fear. Many testified that if not for a mysterious shadow shaped like a human, the destruction would have been far worse. The broadcast continued. "We have also received information that this shadow human was, in fact, the skill of a hunter, confirmed to belong to none other than the E-rank hunter, Sung Suho." His face filled the screens, alongside the dark silhouette of shadow at his side. The anchor's voice grew firmer. Mr. Sung Suho, who arrived first on the scene to aid civilians, testified that he reawakened in that moment of crisis. Footage of Suho, battered yet resolute, played. The narration pressed on, weaving him into the image of a hero. The moment he sacrificed himself for others, he obtained the power to protect through reawakening. With those powers, Hunter Sung Suho became the savior of countless lives. But in a dim room, a figure leaned forward, eyes glowing crimson in the dark. His lips curled into a sinister grin as he muttered Suho's name. Sung Suho. Elsewhere, Suho watched the broadcast in disbelief, his fists tightening. Everyone, his voice trembled with frustration. What's this fake news about reawakening? Around him, murmurs filled the Hunters Association office. Some dismissed it casually. We decided it was better this way. Reawakening is rare, but not impossible. People will accept it. But Suho's thoughts burned hotter. They weren't lies meant to protect him. They were chains meant to shackle him. Chairman's voice cut sharply through the haze of tension. But I had no intention of hiding it. His sharp gaze locked on Suho, piercing through the air. You weren't about to announce to the whole world that you're a leveling hunter, were you? Silence weighed heavy. Only chaos follows those beyond the rules. The chairman warned, his voice grave. Everyone will judge Sung Suho however they please. And the appearance of an irregular will only sow hostility. Suho's jaw clenched, his eyes steeling as the words pressed into him. The chairman's warning echoed, but Suho's resolve refused to falter. There are 3 goals you mentioned. The memories in his mind echo. He declared that his first goal was his own growth, a promise to rise in strength until he could stand beside his father in the war against the outer gods. The second was to unite the hunters of this world, gathering them as one force to push back the looming threat. The third, and most dangerous, was the elimination of the apostle of the Iterum. As Suho's words settled, his determination shone through. After achieving these 3 goals, he would finally lend his strength to his father, who had been waging war alone. His resolve was unshakable. In the present, Choi Jong-in reminded him that enthusiasm alone would not suffice. To unite the hunters and sway the world, Suho would need more than power. He would need influence and a careful image. Suho listened intently, the weight of the advice pressing on him. Jong-in warned him to be cautious with his public image and to learn how to move the hearts of people, shaping their will as much as his strength would shape battle. Suho silently agreed. He couldn't do this alone. To succeed, he would need to rely on the strength and trust of others. Looking at hunters, he asked directly if this council meant hunters were willing to stand with him. With calm certainty, Hunter Beck affirmed it. Suho was not just anyone. He was the grandson of Sung Il-hwan, the son of Sung Jin-woo, the beacon of humanity. But more than bloodline, it was Suho's actions that had moved him, and so he pledged the support of the White Tiger Guild. Then came Hunter Choi, his voice steady with conviction. Acknowledging even Sung Jin-woo's struggles against the Iterum, he admitted his own limits but could not stand idly by while Earth faced destruction. The Hunters Guild would lend their aid as well. Watching these alliances form, Chairman Wu silently reflected, Suho had done it. He had won the trust of both Baek Yoon-ho and Choi Jong-in. Now, the stage was nearly set. All that remained was one final piece. The air in the room grew heavy, silence pressing down like a weight. Hunter Beck's gaze lingered on Hunter Lim, his lips parting as if wrestling with an unspoken question. Finally, his voice cut through the tension, low and deliberate. Is it true that you killed Lee Min-sung? Gasps rippled through the room. Hunter Beck's eyes widened as he turned sharply toward Lim Tae-gyu, disbelief and urgency in his voice. Hunter Lim Tae-gyu. But Suho did not flinch. His expression was steady, his reply firm, unshaken. Yes, I did. The single confession hit the chamber like a thunderclap. Hunter Beck's shout of Suho echoed, but Suho's calm demeanor made it clear. He carried no regret. Suho's eyes narrowed, the memory flashing vividly in his mind. Exactly what was with his appearance at that time? He was possessed by the apostle of the Iterum, while under the effects of star power. Hunter Lim muttered. His voice hardened. Why did you approach him? Suho's voice was unshaken. I confirmed he was cooperating with them, so I tried to get information from him. Suho. Hunter Lim's next words were almost a whisper. Why did he cooperate with the Iterum? Suho's reply came, tinged with frustration. I don't know. Inside, Hunter Lim's thoughts churned. He knew. He knew Suho hadn't done anything wrong. And yet, he kept pressing. His jaw tightened. Why am I even asking these questions? His eyes lifted, haunted, as Suho spoke again. Are you perhaps wondering about Lee Min-sung's final moments. Hunter Lim Taegyo? His voice was quiet, but it pierced through the silence. In his final moments, he was laughing. Lim Taegyo's breath caught. What? His voice cracked, disbelief twisting his face. He was laughing? Memories surged, the vision of Lee Min-sung's grotesque form, warped by star power and the Apostle's control. That cruel laughter echoed in Suho's mind, bitter and hollow. I still don't know why, Suho admitted. Whether it was out of satisfaction or emptiness after giving up everything. But what I felt was, even at the end, he hadn't lost himself. I hate to admit it, but even in his final moments, he left a deep impression on me. Hunter Lim's eyes trembled. Shock gave way to something else, something deeper, unspoken. He exhaled. A bitter chuckle slipped from his lips, his expression hard yet conflicted. Lee Min-sung, that same old egotistical bastard. His hand lifted, brushing through his hair as he finally looked back at Suho, resolve replacing doubt. We, the Reaper Guild, will cooperate as well. In the quiet tension of the room, Chairman Wu's eyes sharpened with resolve. With the cooperation of 3 massive guilds now secured, the atmosphere shifts, the air thick with the weight of what lies ahead. Their gazes lock onto Suho, whose unwavering sincerity has stirred something deep within their hearts. Though he may not yet rival the presence of Hunter Sung-jin Woo, there is a fire within him that mirrors his father's unyielding spirit. In those fierce, defining moments, Suho's determination feels all too familiar. He stands tall, a figure casting the shadow of his lineage, yet carrying a storm uniquely his own. With steady conviction, Suho addresses them all, his voice cutting through the silence. He declares the beginning of their path forward, a plan that will ignite winds of change across the world. The guild leaders exchange silent thoughts, recalling Sung-jin Woo's battlefield, and recognizing that this young man's decision is about to summon winds of its own. Winds heavy with the scent of blood, carrying not just to the Hunters Association, but across the entire world. The winds of blood have begun to rise. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.